Early morning shift getting ready to go in. Cars racing down the road heading on in. Good morning, everyone. I woke up this morning and the word freedom popped into my head. Freedom. Now this message is going to be a bit targeted. It's not necessarily geared toward race or ethnicity, but it's geared toward a certain situation in history, and that is in regards to enslavement. If you were ever part of a group of people that was ever enslaved, then you'll know what I'm talking about. I want to talk about people who live today in 2022 who are still mentally enslaved. Now, I've spoken before about modern day slavery in regards to finances, but I want to talk about now about people who are mentally enslaved and have a poor quality of life as a result. These are people who are so addicted to the history of their slavery that they have actually perpetuated that slavery in their life. Let me give you a scenario to kind of help you understand where I'm coming from. I know a lot of people that are into history. You guys, I know that I'm into history. I in particular like music and entertainment history because my background comes from, music and entertainment. I like looking at music history and entertainment history, studying artists and films and different things like that. I like that. That's just something that interests me. And, I like looking into the backgrounds of how things came about, understanding the origins of the things we use today. I like seeing how people create things and the struggles that they went through so I can develop appreciation for what we have. That's just me. But there are some people that are so engrossed in the history of things to the point where they actually brainwash themselves to believe that that history is a part of their present life. And the reason they do this is they use it as an excuse not to change the current circumstances. They use it as an excuse to be lazy and not try to achieve any of their goals, to stop dreaming, to stop trying to improve themselves. They'll go back to the history. I'm going to give an example and then I'm going to let you guys go. I'm an African American woman, and of course, for those of you who already know, African American history involved the enslavement of African people. Very sordid history. It was an economic system based on the enslavement of humans. There were a lot of players involved, not just one group of people, not just one ethnicity. There were multiple cultures involved in the enslavement of Africans. There were a lot of multiple cultures that were involved and profited from the economic system. Because of that, there are some people that all they do is study that. They read every book, article, document, listen to every podcast, TED Talk, watch every video, watch every show. They're engrossed in studying all the details and the so-called secret knowledge and the new evidence that comes out in regards to the history of the enslavement of people. Fine. There's nothing wrong with learning new information about anything. I applaud that. However, some of these people have a more sinister reason for doing it. See, deep down, they actually do not have a tolerance or a love or a concern for people of other races. They never did. See? If you look at their associations, a lot of people that they associated with, none of them are people of any other race or ethnicity. They're only people of their own kind. So what they'll do is go ahead and they'll engross themselves, immerse themselves in the history of slavery. and they'll use all of the evidence, and it's usually not all of the evidence. They'll cherry pick some of the evidence and use that as an excuse to hate, to discriminate, and to ostracize themselves from other races of people in current day. Now, mind you, these races of people that were involved in the slave trade, of course, those people aren't alive today. Their descendants are walking around. But their descendants aren't the ones who perpetrated the crime. Okay? But however, in these people's minds, they look at these folks and figure those are the ones. It's a distorted view. It's a minor form of a mental illness, really, because their perception is distorted. It distorts their perception of things and how to process things. So it's a form of obsession. They become so obsessed with a sordid past that it affects their reality. So here it is, this person has got it in their mind, okay, I was a slave, everybody that was involved is against me, I don't deal with those people because their people enslaved my people, so I don't deal with this race of people because their people own slaves, and I don't deal with this race of people because their people own slaves, and I don't deal with this group of people because their people were involved in the lynching of black people, and blah, 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 blah. And here you are in 2022, where we have mixed race relationships, we have blended societies, we have blended business relationships, and you're coming out here with that. Now, how far do you expect to go in this society the way it is now in 2022? How far do you expect to go financially? How far do you expect to go socially if you do not want to associate with anyone of another ethnicity, knowing that there are many people who are multiracial in this society? I'm going to give you a minute to think about that. So when these people who are obsessed with history and whatnot, they're not going to have many friends, people. They're not going to have many friends. And in a lot of cases, they're not going to have many family members, because a lot of their family members have probably already been involved in interracial relationships, probably procreated in interracial relationships, probably have had business dealings, probably have had financial dealings with people of other races and ethnicities. These people are not very friendly people, and 9 times out of 10, they're struggling financially because of their viewpoints. They're just not part of society. What quality of life do you think that is, people? So yes, I do deem it as a form of mental illness, even though there probably is not a term for it. There's nothing normal about this type of behavior. And it is a form of mental entrapment. It's a form of self-imposed slavery on yourself. So in turn, these people have made an obsession of studying about slavery. They themselves have become slaves. They've created a form of mental slavery by studying about slavery. How about that? So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. I'm going to let you marinate on that for a minute. But let me know in the comments, have you come across that one person? And I'm sure maybe some of you already know this. Every time you come across them, they're always immersed in something about the slavery, something about the persecution of the people. Every time you talk to them or see them or deal with them, and they're always alone. They're always by themselves. They're hardly ever invited to any social functions or anything because nobody wants to communicate with them. Their quality of life is not good because they're not advancing financially because nobody wants to deal with them. They're probably stuck in a dead-end job doing the same thing over and over again. That their situation is just not great because nobody wants to deal with them. Nobody wants to communicate with anyone like that. They're stuck. They're mentally stuck. They brainwash themselves into a form of slavery and they don't even realize it. I know this seems a little bit convoluted, but I'm sure if you sit down and think about it, you must know at least one person who's kind of like that. And they are literally have enslaved themselves, worrying about something that happened in history that's already done. And that's why I thought about freedom when I woke up first thing this morning, and I felt the need to speak on it. Don't be one of those types of people. Don't be one of those types of people. I'm not saying ignore your history. I'm not saying that at all. But don't let the sordid history become a part of your present and ruin your blessings that you have today, and create a sense of imprisonment in your mind. Because there are a lot of people right now that are doing that. And it's a form of poison. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Peace.